Well, those are some excellent points, and it seems to me like there's a lot being done, but that at the same time, the whole ecosystem needs to come together and help. Talent gap is such a huge issue worldwide, not only in the cloud. And don't forget to reach out to MENACloud.org to comment and ask questions as you need to. Our next panel is about connectivity, which without connectivity, we don't have a cloud, which is an important part of the equation. And what a lineup we have. Gentlemen, we need to get to the cloud if we want to use it. And getting to the cloud is a bit more complicated than many think. I had a chat with Andrew Grenville to ask him this. What, in your opinion, is the biggest challenge in our region when it comes to connecting to the cloud? Andrew?
Well, that's the agenda for the next panel in one line. There are a few important areas, all of which seem to be impacting cloud connectivity in our region. But if I'm forced to choose one, then I think the lack of a truly competitive telecom sector is the main thing. Why? Because it has a negative effect on provider choice, product choice, and consequently, of course, price choice when it comes to connecting to clouds. That hurts both cloud providers and cloud consumers.
So, good morning, everybody. This is Andrew Grenville. I think I looked far better as an avatar than I do in real life. But nonetheless, you're stuck with me now to host this wonderful panel. I'm the chairman of the Middle East North Africa Cloud Association Connectivity Worker Group. So we look particularly at issues around connectivity to the cloud. As Grant was saying, if you can't connect to the cloud, not much point in having a cloud, whether it's in country, out of country, anywhere else. In my day job, I'm CEO of Oryxcom, a managed services provider of connectivity and cloud deployed and delivered security services. Do we have a panel for you today? They are truly distinguished industry experts, and I've known these guys for a long time, decades of experience across the telecoms and IT industry, and it's a pleasure to be moderating today. That also means I can just ask the questions and listen. I don't have to contribute because they've got so much wisdom amongst them. So let me briefly introduce the three gentlemen you can see on your screen. Firstly, we have Mohammed Nasser. Mohammed is the Assistant ICT Minister for Global Information Infrastructure at MCIT here in Egypt. So welcome, Mohammed. He has vast experience in major companies such as Telecom Egypt, Vodafone, PCCW, and so on. We have George Ezat. George is COO of VP Sci Inc. and lots of other companies. He seems to have fingers in multiple pies right across the region and is a very well-known industry figure. So George, good to see you too. And last but not least, we have Amr A. Amr's the CEO of OmniClouds. He's got great experience in the past from companies including GBI, PCCW Global, and BT. So amazing. We couldn't have put together a better panel. So thank you, gentlemen, very much for being part of this. So look, we all know how important connectivity is to the cloud. To get the ball rolling, maybe I can just ask you to tell me what you think are the three top pain points in connecting to the cloud. So keep this one brief because we're going to dig into them, but just give me your top three pain points as you see it. So Mohammed, I'll start with you if you don't mind.
Thank you, Andrew. I think my top three is the cost point and the accessibility itself and the security.
Yeah, good. Well, that's pretty much covered the whole spectrum, so I'll be interested to see what the other two gents say. So, George, what can you say?
It's the main same points, but I can add the migration to the cloud as well, and the vendor lock, and the on-premise adoption, and the regulatory. Excellent. Like I wanted also to congratulate Egypt. Now Egypt is promoting the data centers framework policy is in place. We are waiting the terms and conditions, but Egypt has been improving on that part. But I think Muhammad has valid points, but I want to add the migration and the regulations, as well as the on-premise adoption.
Thank you.
Is another point.
Thanks. Amr, what are your 3 top pain points? I think you might be on mute. Okay, maybe while we're waiting for Amr's tech to catch up, we will ask another question. So, Mohammed, let me go back to you. I will return to you, Amr, don't worry, once we've sorted you out. There's obviously clouds already in Egypt. How do you see the overall cloud scene in terms of the development in Egypt at the moment?
I think Amr, he's trying to speak, but I think Amr need to be. We cannot hear you all.
Okay. So Mohammed, yeah. Give us your thoughts on the clouds.
Okay, I think when we talk about the connectivity, and related to Egypt, we have different points related to the cloud connectivity itself, which is we're saying if you are building a region or you have an edge and you'd like to connect it to the region itself. This is mainly related to international connectivity, and I don't see a big issue related to that. There is ample availability of subsea cables connectivity in Egypt. So the international connectivity side itself has never been a pain point for connectivity towards Egypt. I think the major point will come to the access network when you reach to the enterprise or the consumers. And I would like to split between 2 things when it comes to connectivity. Connectivity towards enterprise and connectivity towards consumers. When we talk about consumers, we talk about public internet connectivity. And on that side, the government is doing a lot of infrastructure development related to expanding the fiber network, which became a mandate for a robust internet connectivity. And also in the mobile broadband, we are releasing additional spectrums to enhance the mobile broadband. So this will, in general, enhance the internet experience and availing the cloud services to the normal consumers. Okay. When it comes to the enterprise layer, we will be facing the sort of the pinpoint that I mentioned at the beginning, which is the enterprise normally will look to the security, the compliance with the governance or with the regulation. We will look into the availability, the SLA, and then we will come to really the connectivity issue here. Do we have access to the connectivity, which is accessibility? And I think we are doing great now on the development of infrastructure, especially for enterprises. So most of the enterprise hubs are connected with fiber. And then it comes to the point of the cost. The whole idea of the cloud came with cost saving and the scalability. So if we find that is the cost point of the connectivity hinder the cloud adoption, then we have a problem. And I think this is a normal relationship between enterprise and a telco provider rather than the cloud provider. I'm happy to see with multi-cloud requirements, a lot of multi-cloud providers which provide connectivity to the multi-cloud. And this is independent of the cloud providers. And I hope that this will continue to be neutral and independent, because most of the applications are not fixed to one cloud providers. And that's why we need the multi-cloud connectivity. And I see a lot of providers for the multi-cloud connectivity. And I think all of you guys are working on that side as well. And this is enabler for the cloud adoption. So I don't see a problem in the connectivity to the cloud rather than connectivity to the internet. So there is no specific thing.
Okay, no, thank you. And there's some really good points in there that I'm going to specifically come back to, particularly. Amr, can you hear us now and respond?
Yes, I think I can hear you. I hope you can hear me like this.
We certainly can, and I'm glad we can. So you've had a bit more time to think about it, so I'll let you do a little bit more than just a quick line response. How are you seeing the overall issues?
So going back to what Mohammed is saying, I think we need to segregate between digital transformation, cloud connectivity, and shared services, because the cloud as a word is being overused, in my opinion. It's abstracting a lot of terms. If we just go to the simple concepts of all the cloud, as Muhammad said exactly, it is shared resources business model. The cloud is in the shared services in the cars, shared services in lifts. So if we need to simplify the problems that we are facing, or the challenges, it's simply the last mile. If we don't have proper Google Maps, then the shared services drivers like Uber or Lyft or others won't be able to reach. So we have a last mile challenge to sort. Challenge, it's not a problem, it's a challenge. The second problem is we won't get into an Uber before we know that he is the driver. Right, Muhammad? Right, George? We have to know he is the driver. I'm sending my daughter, I'm sending my son. I want to know he's the driver. I want to make sure my credit card is actually being handled properly, and so on and so forth. So we're talking about security and data jurisdiction. The third point is we have to have, I don't want to sound like HSBC, but a local global cloud. What do I mean by that? Is that before we start blaming companies, blaming governments, blaming the weather, we have to think about it with this model, the model of the Uber. What are the issues you're facing? Well, I need better road. That's fine. But the technology is moving far much faster than any tractor in the street. And literally, to have a better infrastructure, we'll physically need a tractor, because the last mile is the last touching point between the virtual world and the real world. So before you go to a ministry in Egypt or Djibouti or UAE or any other country, I need better connectivity. Yes, there will be a worker who will have to go and dig the street and put a fiber. Is it better we put a fiber? As Muhammad said, we put more spectrum maybe. Shall we put satellite? But those are, at the end of the day, things that moves slower than the revolution of technology. So we have to find more creative ways to solve the last mile problems, and then have to consider the security and data jurisdiction. It's a huge issue. We in Middle East and Africa were always not very advanced into feeling the security risk. These days now we hear about people being hacked and so on and so forth. And the third one, is actually, is it a local cloud? What is a cloud? The network is the cloud now. So we have to have what I call it the Internet of Clouds. There is a cloud for IoT inside the country. There is a cloud inside your compound for the IoT, and a bigger one for the contents like Watch It or Shahid or whatever, and so on and so forth. So the word cloud needs to be looked at a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Amr. So, George, just picking up on one of the points that Mohammed made, he was talking about the difference between the consumer cloud, which is largely going to be served over regular broadband or maybe mobile broadband, and then enterprise cloud, where we really need more dedicated and SLA-driven connectivity services. And he made the point that's really between the telco providers and the enterprise. It's not really the cloud providers themselves. In this region generally, we don't have very open and competitive telecoms regimes. What's your thoughts on the way to get through that from the telco perspective with enterprise connectivity to the cloud?
So thank you, Andrew. If we went to Amr's point about the meaning of the cloud, so basically, cloud, from my point of view, as Amr mentioned, we focus on the computing and the security, computing power and the security. There is onshore and the offshore clouds. In Egypt, right, from my point of view, whatever is available is more of CDNs and the stacks, some limited functionality. So basically, right now, for me to tackle this problem, I had to partner with Telecom Egypt. So Telecom Egypt is the main player, because partnering would make it grow. So we partnered with Telecom Egypt and Delta, building Delta Cloud now. We're launching 1st of January. So to provide the connectivity, to provide the computing power and the security in an automated manner, as what you can see for international clouds. So we comply with the laws where data stays in Egypt, and we comply with all this. But to go back to Muhammad's point, so Egypt, let us focus on the positive part, on digital transformation. As per the economical research group, Egypt has improved from 93 to 81 because of the focus on digital transformation and the cloud. And we are building the cloud. But one pain point that Muhammad, for example, didn't push it is to build the local clouds around Egypt. We need to push and this will save and reduce cost. We need to push operators to peer locally, meaning Alexandria traffic to remain in Alexandria. So not traffic goes from Alexandria to Cairo and back to Alexandria. Tanta traffic to remain in Tanta between the operators. So this reduces the cost of the backhaul. So this is a very easy way to reduce cost, as well as improve latencies for the end user. So this was my comment. So Egypt has been growing, and over the last 2-3 years, something amazing. Framework is now in place. Things are improving, but there is some easy pain points that can be tackled and can help reducing costs and improve the service.
Okay, yeah. Now, George made an interesting point in his case. He's partnered with Telecom Egypt. Of course, not every enterprise has the luxury or the leverage or the commercial compelling argument to do that, and they're just regular customers, whether it's a TE or Voda or any of the other telcos. Mohammed, to go back to your point, the cost issue hinders cloud adoption, and I totally agree with you, and I'm sure we've all seen that ourselves around the region with enterprises. Getting a good quality, let's say 400 meg connection, pick a number, can be extraordinarily expensive around the region. What do you think the telcos could be doing to make that not a pain point in terms of encouraging cloud adoption?
Okay, I think one of the important points, which is it should be advantageous for the telco provider, that is the adoption of the cloud and availing the cloud easily. It means that I bring more traffic to the network, which is a monetization for the network. And we are all know that the cost of equipment after building your network, the cost of upgrading the network with equipment is the lowest compared to the civil work required or the initial investment required. So the telco should understand that putting more traffic and inducing the traffic or the usage of the network is something which will enhance their financials. So what they need to do is push the enterprises and consumers to use the cloud more, whatever, if it's local traffic cloud or it's public external cloud. Towards the end, we need to be connected out of our building. So once you exit your building, you need to procure a bandwidth. And this bandwidth is the telco function from the beginning. And I think that the telco need to focus on this, focus on reaching everyone, invest in your infrastructure, because it will be monetized anyway, because it's no brainer that everyone wants to go out of their building. So I need to reach with my fiber or my connectivity towards every building, and then provide the user the prices and the products that suits you. So don't give a fixed product that fits every enterprise. But there are enterprises that need specific connectivity for certain applications. And one of the very important products that I have seen adopted globally, but I didn't see much in the region, is the bandwidth on demand. It needs the cloud itself to create this product, but this product itself is helping a lot because, for example, we see the Black Friday last week. The surge in the traffic that day, not everyone will procure a full year contract just to be able to serve this day. So it's important to the telco to understand the enterprise business. We need to hire more people who understand the ecosystem of the telco so that you can create a product that suits you. That's very important for the telco. Don't look to your legacy model and don't create the products which is on shelves. Try to customize a product based on the enterprise. Create these relationships.
Yeah, and I think that's right. So Amr, I mean, your business, like mine, we are trying to connect customers all the time to clouds, and you have seen many instances where the connectivity cost to the enterprise is prohibitive. So Mohammed's right. There are simple ways that products could be done and created, but they don't seem to be happening very much in our region. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Andrew. So, as you know, we're right now operating in 16 countries, and in each one of them, we have our own core network where we offer local cloud. Maybe Egypt is not one of them. Very soon, I hope it will be with the help of the local operators and the help of the ministry also. But I'll take the points back to a redefinition. I think our mindset, and if you look at the case of UK and case of New Zealand, their mindset into dealing with COVID, the mindset affects the result. So I'll go back to Mohammed, and we both intersected in our career in a lot of traditional telco operators. What I want to tell them, there is nothing called telco operator anymore. The dumb pipes is not the business. Number one, let us just agree on this point. Number two, the customer is not going to the internet anymore. This is very important for people. Customer is using applications. Right, Mohammed, right, Joe? Customer is using his Facebook, he's using his Amazon Prime, his Netflix, his Shahid.net. He's not going to the internet. Gone are the days where we used to go in the morning, have coffee, and then write CNN.com to check if there is internet or not. It's not there anymore. So the second point here is that it is the internet of applications. So we need to look at the SLA of the application. Are we having the Chrome or the Zoom link right now working fine or not? That is what I'm interested about. Is my email working or not? Public internet, there's nothing called public internet. Every network right now is there. The third point is the operator, and that's what we're doing with operators. If you follow what we're doing across the world, is we're telling them, please take your mindset away from telco operator to digital service provider. My son, your son, my family, my customers don't really care about how the connectivity is fast or slow. A 4 meg connectivity can give you a 720 pixel good quality. That means it's not the amount of bytes or betas that we have. It is the quality of the application. As Jojo was saying, if I'm sitting in Tanta or Monofia or wherever I'm sitting and there is a local exchange and I can talk to the guy across the road, then that's it. That's all what I need, isn't it? So basically, I think what really the regulators and government should focus on and help is the smart networks. First of all, agree that the customers now are looking for applications. Second, agree that the old telco model is not there anymore. Third one the third one is the fact that look at the applications, not the telecom. Have a smarter network. That is going to save natural resources on the government and at the same time reduce the amount of effort needed to build more infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, those absolutely. I think we all share that vision. But I have to say, I don't want to be the negative person on the panel. The reality is most of the telco mindsets are not that way inclined. There may be some inspirational leaders at the top thinking that, but when the rubber hits the road, and as a business, you go and ask your local provider for some connection, unfortunately, we often know that it comes back very disappointing in terms of the cost or the innovation related to that product and service. So we do have this case where at the consumer level, I agree. I mean, this is a great example. We're all scattered around and we have a great conversation because at the consumer level, generally is high quality network deployment, plenty of bandwidth in the local internet, reasonable amount of international gateway. But I still think for enterprises, we're far from that. To have an equivalent to a service that perhaps you would expect in maybe Europe or America, where they've had longer with a deregulated market. So, I mean, George, your cloud story that you're putting together in Egypt, I guess most of the consumers will be Egyptian customers accessing that. So you may not face potentially the same connectivity issues as if they were trying to have a dedicated connection to, say, Azure in Dublin, for example.
Yeah, basically, actually, when we started in the US. So we are in US, Canada, Amsterdam, and Djibouti. And we are launching in Egypt end of the year. So basically, our strategy, when we started the design of the cloud in general, we decided to be as near the end user as possible. So you are in East Coast, like you are in New York, served from New York. You are in California, you select to be served from California. So we try to be as near as the POP that you want. Because latency is very important. I discovered, for example, I have customers in UAE and Saudi Arabia. They are served from Djibouti. Why? Because the telco, the peering and the latency and the cost. So they preferred, and they are working out of Djibouti. Like I have more customers in UAE and Saudi Arabia served from Djibouti because of the cost and the latency. So the moment you sorted out the problem of cost, latency, this is why in our plan we'll go into cities in Egypt. I'll not just stay in Cairo. No, I'll go to every city. What will remain is the lost connectivity. So somebody on a telco X want to reach me in Tanta, so he has to go via Cairo again. So the next step would be the peering in each POP.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I mean, the peering in the region is improving for sure, but we have a long way to go to make efficient interconnections between the networks. So Mohammed, you said something interesting, that the telcos should see it as an advantage to load up their networks, basically, because you're right, there's very little incremental cost for them to take more traffic on the network. But my perception and the feedback we get from customers is that they seem to view clouds as somehow a threat to them. And so they make it hard for customers. Why do you think they are not embracing that in an open manner?
I don't think they see it as a threat. They might call it like a threat, but they might see it as an opportunity which you would like to monetize maximum. Like the previous cross connect, when they said that I don't want to create a cross connect because it's a threat. In reality, the cross connected product was a threat because it's a tool that you are using in hand to sell your own capacity. So I think that the cloud understand that is requirements for connectivity to the cloud is not a threat for them per se, but it's a threat that is they lose the revenue they can get from selling these prices. And I can see also that there is a threat to the telco, which is they perceive that is they are always afraid from the future, that is the hyperscalers will come eventually to you closer, and then the requirements for connectivity will be lower or whatever, which is not the case, because they should understand that the real requirement is to exit your own zone. So regardless of the hyperscalers come closer or they are staying away, the rate price people pay is just to get the access to the connectivity, not how far. And you understand that we are selling sometimes Singapore to London much cheaper than selling from Cairo to Alexandria or from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. So it's not related to how far is the cloud or how close. It's related to really availing the connectivity, which is the connectivity itself. And I'd like to touch one point here, which I attended the morning regulatory panel, and I enjoyed it much. And one of the interesting things that people were confusing between data and private data, because when we talk about GDPR or talking about the Egyptian data protection law, it's mainly for the personal data, okay, not the data in large. So when we are talking about a cross-border or connectivity compliance with the cross-border regulation, it's mainly for the personal data itself. And that's why the hybrid cloud might be an option, and the adoption of local cloud with public cloud, where you can make sure that the personal data is adhering with the data protection laws is important thing. And I encourage also a communication between all the cloud interested parties, either enterprises working on the cloud or the hyperscalers, to have this open dialogue with the regulator in Egypt or everywhere, because the regulator, sometimes there is a perception about something which, once you have this dialogue, it clarifies that is the main issues. So I encourage everyone to have this open dialogue to understand and have transparently understanding about the real requirements for that. And last thing is, if you have issues connectivity with the telco, I think the stakeholders in the governments now are really willing to listen. So I encourage everyone to talk to the regulatory and the government about what they face with connectivity, what they see from surprises which really hindering their business. That will help the regulator even to regulate things related to the connectivity.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very valid point. And I mean, the whole point of MENA Cloud Association is exactly that, to encourage dialogue between all the players, whatever angle they come from. In fact, one of the things that we are on the cusp of publishing, I think it will be published this month or early December, is a report on cloud connectivity across the region, particularly looking at the focus on the cost of that, the pain points. And it's something that Omid and myself have started having discussions with a couple of industry bodies in different countries. And we'd welcome anyone listening as well, by the way, just reach out if you want to get involved in that debate, because our agenda is all the same, I think, to promote cloud, to make sure that this region becomes competitive and people get the benefit of that digital transformation. So I'm being told we've only got a couple of minutes left, which seems to we've hardly been talking at all. Maybe I can just ask you guys to summarize in 1 minute, if you can keep it to that, what you think the key areas that we'd like to see some action and improvement to improve this overall cloud connectivity. So Amr, if you don't mind, can I start with you on that summary?
Put the proper definitions for every general term we keep using. That's the most important. Once to put the proper definition that is mutually agreed between the different governments and the different regulators, it will be very important. Second point, going back to what Muhammad said, telco operators, the traditional telco operators is worried from losing the word traditional, which basically they are worried from change. So they are not afraid of anything, they're just afraid of change. My proof is, my last 10 seconds, my proof is we still price connectivity based on distance, which is a voice-based mechanism. That just proves the point.
Yes, yeah, thank you. That's very good, yeah. Okay, George, your summary of areas you think we should focus on for positive change.
I think we covered it all. Basically, for me, is the local peering will help lots of things. This is what I'm focusing on. But I wanted to comment that Amr's views and Muhammad's views about threat and the traditional telco, I think they are talking about the same thing, but from different angle. Because with the transformation that happens in the telcos, they have to move to what Muhammad and Amr want to reach. So they should be no longer traditional telco. So if they continued and they are slow in the transformation, then they are dead. Then I go with Amr's view 100%. But if they are transformed and they moved to what Muhammad says, so they reach to over better services. Basically, with the 5G, you are just putting and you are orchestrating a computing power in each POP. So basically, you need to control your part of it will be for the core, part of it will be for enterprise. He may need even to monetize this leftover of computing power. Then we become, as Amr said, the cloud of the cloud. So basically, you have unused computing power, you can sell it to somebody else. Yeah.
So there's an opportunity for the telco if they can change. There's something to embrace. So Mohammed, you've got the delightful benefit of being the last man up for final comment, please.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. There is a room for everybody. I think that is the message now. There's a room for everybody to win, and it's very important that for everybody to focus and enhance their line of business and their product to the maximum for the benefit of the end user towards the end. So it's not useful to see that as everyone is trying to invest or to work in the business of the others, because we are in hurry. The world is moving faster than the development that we are doing, and the restructuring and everything we're doing. So the world is moving really fast. So it's important for everyone to focus in its track. And really, there is an opportunity for everybody. Hyperscalers need to focus on building their cloud bigger and bigger, helping the telco who need it to invest or to promote connectivity, not taking the connectivity business. And the telco need to invest in as well and enhance and provide the cost-effective solutions to cloud providers and to users, and not to come to the cloud business and to try to invent the wheel. So, and the people who are facilitated between the cloud and the telco, there is a room for them. They need just to have this opportunity to work on both. So if we allow everyone to work, I think we all would be winners.
Good, and that's a great summary. I totally agree. There's so much opportunity in this very, very fast-moving and frankly very lucrative business for everybody. Stick to what you're good at and facilitate it. Don't try and stop it, and hopefully everybody gains. So look, I'm sorry to cut it short, but we're out of time. I just want to say thank you very much to Mohammed, George, and Amr for their excellent contributions. I'm sure if people want to reach out to them, we can do that through the MENA Cloud Association. But gents, thanks for your time, and I will see you hopefully in real life at some point soon. Okay, bye everybody.